if I failed to clarify anything in the past, um, eventually the right question will be asked to clarify what you're confused about. And when I said like neutrally, Pluto doesn't care about anybody dying neutrally because that's just his agency, but it's not necessarily, personified as human. It's a force of nature that is just guiding along that movement. And from the movements of energy, the illusion itself is how the humans are taking up that title and kind of personifying it in a human lens. So that was the big because, and the clarity missing. It's because like that agency and like what connects the humans to the force of nature, that's like the yin and yang polarity evolution of like how like the force of nature and the humans, they're different, but they're also like kind of working together to make something kind of new. So that's like one thing I wanted to clarify. It's like, yeah, that was the big because of like, because like there's a natural, real, original agency that's doing a function and a mechanism that has a certain function of a type of recycling within the movements of the quote unquote universe, end quote. And within the movements of the quote unquote universe, end quote, there's something that like foresees and sees what lives and what dies. And when and that is that force of an agency that could be the quote unquote planet Pluto, end quote. And that planet, quote unquote planet, end quote, it could take that in itself, not just as a concept, but as like a function mechanism. It could take different forms. And one of the forms within the microhumans is like, it's not just something in the mind, it's like something that is a force of nature. And that force of nature is it's just one force of nature of other forces of nature that the planets having their own like their own multi paths of their themes respectively. And one of them being like that has to deal with like death and transformation and extremes and extreme even like something of like a compression, something of like because like I feel like the prison complex, it's definitely connected to Pluto, because in the prison complex, like eventually within the spokes of like the infrastructures, they have a starting point and then they have an ending point within the inhabitants within the infrastructure. And the inhabitants within the infrastructure of any complex, it has a particular like gateway of death. And that gateway of death is all of the gateways of death to all of the infrastructures. That's a unique connection to Pluto. And all that big between is how we're relating to that force of nature. And that big between is how the humans are like falsely grasping and thinking they're like, they're like the controller of that, like that function of nature. But like on some small level, paradoxically, they could be though. So that's like, there's like a paradox here. And but that was like the big because, and you don't have to get astrology with it, but you could. And so like I'm just doing this video in case like there was a lack of clarity within the recent video, and it's always good to floss before the videos. I really realized that. And also I want to shout out Burt's Bees charcoal toothpaste. That black toothpaste, the charcoal Burt's Bees, it really just wrings all the bad chemicals out of your mouth. It's like a sponge. That the black Burt's Bees, the black charcoal Burt's Bees toothpaste, dude, that thing works like a charm. I just wanted to drop that one too. So if you're like barely on like putting yourself on a toothpaste game, and it's kind of ironic that I'm saying it because like, well, like if you want to put yourself on toothpaste game and switch from like fluoride toothpaste to fluoride free toothpaste and other ingredients that are like conducive to like hygiene generally overallly, is switching to like something of a holistic a, a holistic choice that has to deal with that which takes out toxins, that which takes out toxins. But there is like a plateau where ultimately like where we are trying to ultimately grasp so much onto something that we think we are, but we're not. Like, we're not necessarily Pluto. We're not necessarily the Reaper. We don't have that power. Like, that's the thing. That's the small intricacy niche right there. We're claiming a title that we're not necessarily originally that, That's the whole thing within like, the false illusory side of anything, And the false illusory side of anything is just how the titles are being used falsely. Shout out to all the predecessors. And just the clarity is always there, Because I didn't want to leave anybody hanging with like, I don't want to leave anybody hanging with like confusion, because the times that we're in, this is Callie's law. Everything that's happening, we're deserving it from her law and authority. This is Callie's law. Like, everything that happens, we deserve it, but maybe not, but who's to say if we really do? But if we do or don't, something would ultimately have to ordain something for someone to be, deserving or like experiencing a certain like, circumstance phenomena. Something's ultimately ordaining that, and this is Callie's law. And then, underneath Callie is, however she's like, organizing it, right? However she is like kind of like putting it into format, So it's like it's up to you if you want to get ready for the future or not. It's up to you. It's up to you. Now, do your thing. Some things need to be done, so a certain balance can be achieved. Thank you, guys. I shall come back. Oh yeah, just making the holistic choice, like where we all like, it's okay to be new at something too, So.